Hello guys, it's Uzumaki What If, and welcome back to What If Naruto was trained by a powerful sensei part 3, so without any further ado, let's start. Naruto stared at the building close to the Hyuga compound. He should have known that Samurai-sensei would have a big home. She mentioned one house as well. As he looked around, he saw a huge piece of land. If she wanted, she could start her own clan. He looked onward at the high stone and wooden structure. She had elements of her old village in the design, so she must have had it built herself. When he walked in, he saw that the inside was glorious. Old mahogany and ebony were what the entire interior was made from, and the staircase was the only exception, being made of simple metal. He ran in and laughed as he took in the place. The walls were reddish-brown, the finish still smelling new. The floor was black as night, but the borders had a silver lining. There was very little furniture, the only thing he could immediately see being a couch and table for the living room along with a TV on the opposite wall. The kitchen had 2 fridges and a big sink that was lipped. The library that he passed had to be able to hold 1,000,000 books. Otherwise, the home was empty. That was until he reached upstairs. It was quite obvious which room was his. She had signs pointing the way. He ran to the room and threw open the door. Inside the room, he could see orange everywhere. Hee, she knows me so well. His bed had a huge swirl on it that signified his clan, it was orange against the black background. His pillows were shaped like foxes. He had a desk and a walk-in closet. The desk chair was also a fox, and he had to laugh at it. He also had a personal bathroom and a study room that led to a balcony. He heard Enko enter and the first thing he did was rummage through his belongings to pull out some water balloons. He ran to his bathroom to fill them up. The next thing he did was put them above his door, in such a way that if she opened it, they would drop on her. He did this and sat on his bed waiting. He could hear her coming up the stairs and shout out to her. She came up to the door and asked him if he wanted his homecoming present. He said he would stay in his room. "I'm unpacking, Enko-chan." He chuckled a bit. She groaned and opened the door. Splash. He started laughing and then grew quiet. She was grinning. "Very clever, Gaki. Now open your fucking present and then I am going to train you to death. If you don't die you have to run around the village with Lee 100 times. She laid the box down. He saw it was instant ramen and immediately felt bad for pranking her. He went to open the ramen and was about to offer her some when just as he opened the lid, a bunch of plastic snakes popped out. It was said that day that everyone nearby learned what a girl's scream coming from a boy sounded like. Ha ha ha, that was priceless, Gaki. I hope you are ready to try. Enko paused and sneezed at Naruto. What the hell, Enko? Yuck. Sorry, I think someone was talking about me. Anyways, I hope you are ready to train, Gaki. She said as she walked off. Naruto was dumbfounded as to how she could just ignore the fact she had sneezed all over him like it was nothing to her. He grumbled and finished getting everything in order before wandering down and to the backyard. The backyard was huge, to say the least. At least the size of a small arena. There was a garden to the left, covering maybe 1/4 of the field, and then she apparently had her own training ground. Now there was another part of the property. But it was gated off. Naruto made a note to ask her about it later. Good, you are here. Now I have talked to Inoichi, Ino's dad, and we have decided that I will train her on her own so that you at least have some competition in the Chunin exams. A little about myself first, and about one of the men you should fear. I am one of 4 personal students at Orochimaru. I don't know who the other one who is close to my age is, but Orochimaru has worked with putting Bija chakra into people. Like his other experiments, most died. This man did teach me some things, however. I will be teaching you some of the same techniques. You will be working on your taijutsu, poison immunity, and summoning at some point. And later we have an Umbu friend of mine to help you learn how to use those swords easier. She said smiling. Naruto nodded and watched her. She showed him some kata to add to his style. They would help him with flexibility. Enko, how do you know the Uzumaki style? I don't, I watched you and kind of added a bit of the gentle fist into it. Kinda read some of their scrolls the last time I was near them. They are so egotistical they didn't even realize that I was reading their trash. It's an old form, but I and Samri mixed it together. Unfortunately, she cannot use it at all, and I cannot hit correctly with it. But you can. She said. Naruto nodded and watched. Over the past few months, he had been growing smarter. Way more than he would think. He had asked his sensei, but she declined to speak on it. Flashback. Naruto was struggling to read as Samri watched him. She had been suspecting it for a while but never took action. She stood up and walked over to him, hitting him in the back of the neck. When he passed out, she took off his shirt. Really, Suna no Ju? You couldn't wait till he was older? A cat Umbu asked from the shadows. Yugao, I am not doing that. I think he has a seal on him. Also, I am neither a sand ninja nor a queen. Samri stated smirking as she ran her hand over his neck. Slowly, a seal started to appear. It wasn't until it finished that they both gasped. Samri looked up at the cat Umbu and back at Naruto as the Umbu shunshined out of the room, and back a few seconds later with the Hokage. Chu-chan, what is this? She whispered. She knew what it was, but she wanted him to confirm it. It looks like an intelligence repression seal. It also holds back 90% of his chakra. I have no idea how he got that. I have my theory, but we cannot prove it anymore. Why? Because that person is dead now. Danzo. She said with a growl. The Hokage nodded and looked at it. It seemed they could take it off, but it would take a little over 2 years for it to fully dissipate. In the first month, 10% of his chakra would be allowed out. The next 20%. The next would be 30. And so on. His intelligence would come back right away. Hokage-sama. Naruto's chakra is already low chunin and he is only a child, barely a teen. What will happen when this is gone? As I am sure you have figured out, cat, this seal does nothing to keep back the fox. This is all him. He will be far above Kage when he hits adulthood. It is because he had the Kyubi placed in him when he was young. It changed his chakra coils to fill more. No one tells him about this until he is chunin, please. Hi. Flashback end. Naruto watched Enko, his mind slowly taking in everything. Well, it was slow for him now. He saw the moves she was doing and remembered the moves he had seen Hinata do. He analyzed the kata and saw what was wrong and he started doing it himself. Enko stopped and watched him as he started copying her. But he was far more advanced, his movements showing expertise. Gaki, did you figure all this out in seconds? Who are you? She thought to herself as she watched him. Within minutes he was sparing clones, up to 50 of them in the field, while another 20 were taking poison. It was well known that shadow clones could not do physical conditioning, but with the Kyubi chakra, it actually worked. It bounced back and forced his body to take on the work that the clones had done. The poison killed the clones, and the body learned how to defend itself. Enko was pleased. It did help that Naruto was groaning on the ground, and staring at Enko like he was going to kill her. Enko laughed and walked inside to get dinner started. This would be how they trained for the next week. This, and her Umbu guest. At the end of the week, Enko would battle him to test it out. Meanwhile in the village hidden behind waterfalls. Samri was running. How in the hell did this mission go bad? The Jonin with her was dead and she was all alone. Stupid Kumo and not giving accurate information. No one told her that the fucking fourth Mizukage would send his hunter Nins in. Samri could hear the yelling about dirty blood and shit behind her. She wasn't scared for herself. But in her arms lay a young girl. The girl was tiny and had green hair. Around Naruto's age. Ugh, why do I always have to babysit? She also had found out that, not only was the invasion that Temari informed her about going to happen, but the bloody mist was joining in. Samri had already received word that upon learning of this, they had to do the status quo. Kumo had sent a genin team there for the exams and they had to continue. The mist was also there, meaning all but one of the great ninja villages were attending. She had a bad feeling about this, but the sand was weak. So was Kiri. She could only hope that there were no more surprises. She turned to her left and set the girl down, before turning and taking out her fans. With that, she ran forward into the line of ninja that were on their way. Well well, killer of the swordsman. I don't know you. She spoke to the figures in front of her. One of them threw a book at her and she cringed. It was a bingo book. Name, Samri Mayo. Ninja Village, Leaf/X Sand. Rank, S. Height, 5 feet 4 inches. Weight, unknown. Age, 23. Description, blue hair in a warrior's braid. Carried 2 fans. Dresses lightly, unless in cold weather. May have a silver mask with flowers on. Outfits tend to change. Notable kills, S-rank ninja Kushimaru of the 7 swordsmen. S-rank missing Nin Setora Mistoka. S-rank ninja from IWA, redacted. A-ranked ninja from Suna, Raza's brother, redacted. Use extreme caution. Has swift release, ice release and storm release. Uses an unknown dojutsu. Fun. Except I don't use that last name anymore. I was adopted into the Sarutobi clan last month, and before that, I still had another name. Update your shit. I will let whoever wants to leave, leave now. Otherwise, you will die. Samri stated smirking as it started raining. I am Hunter Nin Mitaishi Ko. I am one of the choices for the next Mizukage. You would do well to hand the girl over. Samri looked at him with wide eyes. What happened to the 4th? She asked. He made a motion with his hand that showed that the Mizukage had died. A rebel bitch did it, but I assure you, I could have done it as well, if not for loyalties. Now hand the 7 tails over. Why? What are you going to do? Kill me? You and what army? She asked smiling. He looked behind him and gasped. Samri had taken down and tied up the 3 genin and 5 chunin. My father once told me that whenever I was scared, to think of him. That one day I would leave this world, to live a life I would remember. You have 2 jonin with you, I will ask again if you want to leave. Will you remember this life when you are dead? Samri spoke with venom. One jonin backed up and held up his hands bowing. Samri nodded. The other looked and did the same. You cowards! Ko shouted before pulling out his kunai and throwing them at Samri, who sidestepped them. When they hit the trees, the fog started rolling in. But, it wasn't from the mist ninja. This was from Samri herself. She had learned the technique while talking to the last Uzumaki. Her jutsu was heavier, however, and she smirked. This will only knock out you 2 jonin and your underlings. I want to make sure you do not get hurt. I am if anything merciful. I do not like killing innocents. When you wake up, go back to your village and tell them they better bring their S-game to the leaf, for Samri Sarutobi is protecting it. With that, she got into her wind stance and started trading blows with Ko. The other ninja nodded and waited as electricity filled the mist, knocking them out. Samri was slowly leading Ko away, not that he noticed. He was busy trying to beat this woman in front of him. He jumped up and shouted. Suetun, Aqua Taiga. Water release, Aqua Tiger. As two tigers came out of the fog, made of water, Samri smirked. How cute. You realize I made this fog right. My technique is quite simple. Dendu Enmyu no Jutsu. Electric fog technique. I just used it, idiot. I can hit you or anyone I want with my techniques. You are within my sphere of influence. Now DE. Samri yelled, laughing maniacally. I normally wouldn't be able to control this technique I am about to do, but with this fog, I can control it. Meet your maker. Reiku Fan no Jutsu. Lightning fan technique. She twisted and got into a stance before twisting her fans and thrusting them into the air and back down in a long sweep. Each time she swung down, the thunder rolled. The hunter's eyes grew wide as his tigers were struck, and she was getting closer, not even affected. He heard her singing and started to fear for his life. It wasn't long before his body was hit and he screamed, before dropping down to the ground. He stopped the technique and walked up to him, before channeling one last blast into his head. After it blew up, she dispersed the fog and walked over to the girl, who was now awake. You killed him. You're so powerful. The Jinchuriki shouted. Hi, I am. What's your name, kid? I'm Samri. Fu. I am a Jinchuriki, yeah kid, I know. That's why I am here. Kiri lost one of theirs, and obviously lost the other, and now wants you. I am taking you to the leaf to live peacefully. We have another. He is a cool kid around your age. Samri stated as Fu perked up. As they walked towards the leaf again, Samri herself was ready for another attack. She knew Iwa was wanting Fu as well. It was too easy for them. Plus, she could feel them. She knew some had seen her. With the Akatsuki. Itachi, why do we have to take this girl along with us? A blue shark-looking man spoke. Kisame, she's someone special to me and aligns with our vision. Yeah, your vision is to spy and betray the Akatsuki. I still feel this is a bad idea. At least we are acquiring the bounties they wanted. Don't appreciate her complaining though. Kisame growled. I can hear you. Don't make me kill you. I could use that fish boy. Said the girl spoke. The girl was around 5.5 feet tall. She had black hair with purple highlights. It reached down her shoulders and ended in a braid. She has a shirt that had shoulderless sleeves. It was black and flowed down past her waist. She has jeans on that look like skinny jeans, also black. Purple shin guards cover each leg, and a thigh-length skirt is over the jeans. All of the accessories are purple. On her sleeves, she has blue rings, and on her legs, she has the same. Her necklace is gold and holds a moon. The moon held a special place for her clan. They could use it for chakra. A special healing chakra that outmatched almost anyone else. It could only be used in one blast per month, however. Runa, quiet down. Itachi spoke quietly to the girl. She nodded and looked at him with hearts in her eyes. She was in love with Itachi, and while they had a semi-official relationship, she still acted a bit like a fangirl. Yes, Itachi-kun, she said cutely. Kisame rolled his eyes. He really didn't like the Yami clan from his experiences. They were very dark-minded people. Dark-minded people with healing abilities. He felt it was a bad mix all around. Of course, Itachi would like them. It was surprising really, as Itachi was more of a loner. The only reason Kisame was so close to him was because Itachi was the only person he trusted. Right now, they were traveling through Taki to get to the Rain Village. Kisame and Itachi had dispatched a few mist ninja, which was odd because they were closer to the Stone Village. The mist had seemingly been sending more and more nin around. It was seconds later that they would find out, so had the leaf. Back with Samri and Fu. They too were running through the trees when Samri felt the presence of someone she had felt before. She motioned for Fu to turn a bit to the left to go around, but then she noticed the other chakras had started to engage. She cursed and pulled out her fans. Fu stopped and looked at Samri as she started to spark. "Itachi! Show yourself!" she yelled. "Very perceptive. Samri-chan." Itachi walked forward, one hand sticking out of his cloak. He coughed momentarily and Samri tilted her head. She felt the others and her eyes widened as they came out. The big shark man, another swordsman. His big sword was wrapped up in cloth. The girl next to him was someone she only slightly knew. From her travels, she had heard of the clan of Yami. No one liked them. Of course, she was Akatsuki. "I don't want to fight, Itachi. I have orders to get this girl away from this land so that mist doesn't take her. I get the feeling IWA is in on it as well, so I also have a report I have to give. I don't have time to kick your friends' asses. I don't plan on fighting you. Samri." Itachi spoke softly. "I do. That bitch called me a friend. And you called her Chan." Runa yelled and readied her two weapons, flicking her wrist, and like butterfly knives, they unwound to form daggers. "That would be unwise, Runa. She is my friend, and let me tell you. She is S-class. Not even Kisame can take her without being mortally injured. See those things on her hands? The blue dots. They collect chakra like Tsunade-sama. However, they only collect what they hit. She stores the chakra from her opponents. She can put her own in, but why would she when she can just take those weapons and hit someone with one?" She spoke calmly and Kisame's eyes widened. Runa growled and started walking off. "Then let's go, Itachi-kun. Fishhead, come on." Itachi nodded at Samri and walked off. Kisame looked at her and glared. He was gripping his blade, but all Samri did was smirk. "Please fight me. I could really use your chakra. Especially since now, you three are the only people that knew about this attribute outside of the Hokage. I really do not want this getting out." He shook his head and walked off. Samri waited a minute, feeling the IWA nin leave as well. Cowards. She looked at Fu and motioned her along. This mission had taken less time than she had thought. She was certain she was gonna have to fight more. With Naruto. "Okay, Gaki. You have been trained by a master at Kenjutsu. You know how to use poisons. I've taught you how to use Shuriken Shadow Clone and even how to lower your chakra. You also now know how to resist poisons, and the new gravity seals on you have helped you speed up. Now I want you to have this seal. It's a suppression seal. It'll block your power for a bit. Not just that, it also makes your body not use the chakra I'm blocking. Meaning it expands your control. I think it will help you. You also learned 2 new jutsu, so hope you practiced. For now, it's time to fight." She got into her stance and Naruto shuddered. He knew he was going to get his ass kicked. He did learn 2 jutsu as a reward. One was given to him by the cat umbu lady, Yugao, named Futon, Sujitsu Kaze-ken, Wind Style, Faithful Wind Blade. But he couldn't fully use it right now. He had to stick with Kamitashi no Jutsu, or Slashing Wind Jutsu, which was not that powerful. It would do for now, however, and it built his control for the other move. The second technique he learned was Futon, Mass Projectile, which formed leaf-like projectiles that worked like kunai and were made of wind chakra. They were almost invisible. The cool part about all of this, well, the coolest, was Enko was going to give him a new jutsu for every stage he passed in the exams. Naruto got into his new stance and motioned for her to start. She immediately summoned snakes and cackled. He ran at them and used his new version of the Uzumaki fist, as he called it, to hit them. Which each hit he put a powerful burst of chakra into it. It didn't close the chakra like the gentle fist, but it did disrupt it enough for the user to land hits. He ducked under another snake as a kunai flew past him. He immediately jumped in the air and used his mass projectile jutsu, cutting into the snakes. Now that he had the distance, he called out the shuriken shadow clone jutsu and winced as the chakra usage was close to the limit of the suppression seal. However, this small amount of chakra did not stop the jutsu from forming several hundred kunai. They all sliced the trees and stabbed the ground. When the dust finally cleared, he saw a dead snake poof out of existence and felt the kunai against his throat. He poofed into smoke as well, and Anko widened her eyes as she heard the yell. Uzumaki 1K barrage, she cursed as she was dodging hundreds of Naruto, all using his style. She was hit several times and swore again as she felt her chakra disrupt. She could not believe this kid. She needed to end this. Naruto was having fun, getting to hit Anko and train at the same time. He wasn't smiling for long, however, as he felt all the clones dispel and a huge amount of darts and snakes swarm him. He didn't even know this move. You actually made me use some power. I had to go Chunin level. Congrats, Gaki. I think you are ready. Anko stated, surprising him by giving him a huge hug. Do me proud, kid. Back yet again with Samri. Sorry about all the jumps. They were nearing the border when Samri heard another sound and cursed. I just can't seem to get a break. Who the fuck is this now? She turned and looked at Fu, who nodded and ducked down. This was not going well. Near the clearing they were at, stood a man wearing red armor and a red straw hat. He had a mask on the bottom portion of his face and had his hand in his kimono. He was huge as well, almost 7 feet tall. His armor had steam coming off of it. Samri knew who this was almost immediately. He was the Five Tails Jinchuriki. Fucking hell. Can I not get a break? Samri shouted, looking up at the sky. I cannot let you leave with the 7 tails. The armored nin spoke, his voice deep. Han, don't give me that bullshit. The leaf deserves this. IWA already has 2. The mist had 2. Not my fault they chased one away when they started their fucking Kekii Genkai genocide. Now move aside or I will not hesitate. She spoke calmly while moving her hand towards her fan. He looked at her and then nodded, the air growing dense. He whispered, Katan, Hidora no Jutsu, fire release, Hydra technique, and 3 huge fire dragons erupted from his kimono, and sped towards Samri. She cursed and shouted out her similar water dragon technique. As 3 water dragons came out from a nearby stream and assaulted his dragons, he smirked. Of course, no one could see this, and as 2 of his dragons fell, he called out his boil release. Boil release, wyvern creation. He shouted as he raised his arms. A roar was heard as a winged serpent-like creature came out of the leftover fire and slammed its way through the water. Samri's creatures turned to steam and the monster headed for them. She activated her electric jutsu on her fans, igniting them in sparks, the lightning fan technique, and then shouted out lightning release, white dragon take down. She knew it wouldn't be enough, but it would give her time to call upon her swift jutsu. A white dragon of electricity came down, slamming the wyvern into the ground. The ground sparked and trees exploded and charred. The air around her fan started to falter and pick up. The wind swirled around her and she activated her eyes. Unmegan. Swift release, Tiger's Mark. Fu, back off a bit. This will not be an easy fight. She shouted as she disappeared. Han looked around, confused before he focused on a shape. It was barely visible and he would need to use some of the Bijou chakra. As he watched Fu run off, he sighed, thankful. He was not allowed to harm her. He called the wyvern over to him to protect him while he poured Bijou chakra into another jutsu. Boil release, Bijou steam monster. Boil release, 1,000 dragon missiles. Boil release, chakra of the death god. He shouted loudly. As the steam monster was created, he laughed as the barely visible image sped towards him. This swift release wasn't anything special. He mixed his chakra with the jutsu, and as the monster roared, the wyvern attacked the image only to be met with a tiger. A giant tiger that sped and sacrificed itself to take down the wyvern. The jutsu she used creates a tiger clone that is used in place of her. Han gasped as he saw this and launched the missiles. 1,000 dragons crashed into the earth, decimating the landscape. The chakra that came with it let off the equivalent of a block-destroying bomb. When everything was done, he turned and looked. Over 100 acres were flat. You failed. Hope that steam monster can hit harder. Samri's voice came from out of nowhere. Oh, how did that miss you? I took Fu to the border. So simple. Now I am here to destroy you. I won't kill you, but I will let you and anyone else know, I am just as powerful as a Sannin. Swift release, angelic judgment. Dodge this. He growled as, for a second, she appeared and then a blast went through his monster who hadn't a chance to even attack. The behemoth shook and exploded, leveling everything that was left over, what little there was. He squinted as the light shone, and got brighter and brighter. With this attack, I am moving so fast around you that it is bending light. When I finally attack, the lighting and wind will come together to go through anything less durable than steel. I know it doesn't sound like a lot, but when it finally hits Earth, it explodes all the built-up energy. I truly hope you survive this because I almost died the last time that I used it. She stopped standing still. He launched another dragon at her, but it went through her. She is moving so fast she can make an image stay in one place, and still be all over the place. I learned this move from a man I loved. Shisui Uchiha. He didn't use it to this extent because he did not have swift release. However, being taught by one of the fastest people on Earth does have perks. Now go to sleep, 5 tails. She disappeared again and everything around him went black. She had stopped mid-air, both fans extended and she spun towards the ground. When she slammed into him, everything stopped for a split second before a sonic boom erupted 1,000 times at once over the whole 100 acres. When she stood up, she limped away. He was on the ground, battered and half past the gates of death. She could tell, however, that the bijou was healing him. She sighed and walked away. After a few minutes, Leaf Ninja appeared with Fu in tow and she finally was able to pass out. She was finally back home. A whole week of peace and then 2 big battles had worn her out. And no one liked chakra exhaustion. Now did they? Back with Naruto. Naruto looked up at the huge building. He had his paper in his hand, and his 2 teammates by his side. Sasuke was brooding and Sakura was fawning over him like always. He was still in the same outfit as before, but he did have a new outfit waiting. Enko had told him to leave it for the finals. To be showy. With his mental seals off he had easily completed his paper and helped Sakura with hers. His crush on her was almost gone now, though his rivalry with the Uchiha was bigger than before. Sasuke, I plan on kicking your ass at the end of this. He grinned. HN. Sure you do. Leave Sasuke-kun alone. The loudmouth yelled. They both deadpanned and Naruto walked inside the building. The building was cool, cooler than the outside, and goosebumps appeared on his skin. He looked at his paper and saw the stairs. With a sigh, he walked up and through, ignoring the crowd. He felt the presence of a genjutsu but didn't know where it was. Sakura, Sasuke. Can you guys dispel the genjutsu? I can't tell where it's coming from. They nodded and did so. The entire crowd grew quiet and he walked past these two guys, both of them yelling at him. He turned for a second to see Tenten and Lee, her partner, get into it with the men. He didn't pay no mind. The first test would be soon and he was on his way to being Hokage, believe it. As he walked, he felt like Sasuke was supposed to be battling someone. But the Uchiha was next to him staring forward. It wasn't long before they came up to Kakashi and Samurai. Naruto stopped and gasped as Samurai was on crutches and looked tired. "Sensei! What happened?" he exclaimed. "Just a bit of a scuffle. The mission for the scroll you got and all. I got back far earlier than I thought I would but at a cost. I am glad all three of you showed up. I've been worried," she noted as Kakashi nodded. "Why's that, Miss Samurai?" Sakura asked, tilting her head. "If you had not shown up with Naruto and Sasuke, they would have been disqualified." Kakashi interjected with an eye smile. "I am proud of you all, show them what my lovely team can do," she said, before walking off with a book in hand. "Naruto, Sasuke, Sakura. Take care of each other, okay? I will be watching. I am proud of you as well, Naruto. Make me proud, you guys. Sakura, remember your training," Samurai stated before walking off. Naruto nodded and looked at the other two. "Sasuke, did Kakashi get your tanto?" Sasuke nodded and showed him his sealing scroll. "Good, Sakura, do you have the bow staff?" She nodded and did the same, also showing her chakra enhancement tattoos and knuckles. "Good. I was told that we shouldn't show them unless we are either about to die, or we are in the finals. So, let's get started." With that, he ran inside with the other two but stopped short when he saw them. All the different villages that were there. Kumo was there, Mist was there, and others that he did not recognize. He saw the Sand siblings with a few others. There had to be over 100 ninja in the room. Suddenly he found himself wrapped up in arms. "Naruto-kun. You're late." He heard Ino yell. "Ino, get off Naruto. We don't need him hurt," Sakura yelled. They started sizing each other up until a voice broke them from their concentration. "Man, you guys are taking this stupid test too. Don't die." The boy who spoke was none other than Shikamaru, next to him was Choji. They had been with Ino for obvious reasons. And Naruto looked around and finally saw the Leaf Ninja coming around. Were they really that late? He heard another voice and smelled the dog right after. He turned around and saw Kiba and Shino. Next to them was a girl he honestly thought was really pretty, but had never said anything. "Hey, guys! Is everyone in our class here?" Naruto shouted. "Why yes, and Naruto-kun. We signed up." Hinata spoke quietly, blushing. Naruto blushed as well and nodded. As they all yelled, a final voice spoke up. Naruto shuddered when he heard it. He smelled snakes and he did not like it. It wasn't like Enko's smell, no, hers smelled soft and amazing. "You guys should be quieter. You sound like kids right out of the academy. Look around, the ninja here do pay attention and you are making for easy pickings." The teenager waved his hand at the rest of the room. "Name's Kabuto and I'll let you guys in on some info though, I won't bore you with how I know. Normally I'd brag about it, but seeing as you are late, and we don't have time for it, I have info cards built up from all my time here. Ask for anything, 3 wishes are my command." He smirked. Sasuke smirked and spoke. "Gaara of the Sand and Naruto Uzumaki." Everyone froze at the mention of Naruto. "Why Naruto? He is the dope." Kiba sneered. "Gaara, well, mission history is C rank 8, B rank 1 and WoW, an A rank. Apparently, he has never had a scratch on him. That's all I have on him, as he is a newcomer from a different village." Now to Naruto. "So, he has 30 rank. 2 C ranks. A B rank that is redacted, and it's recent. The trip to the Uzumaki Elder was A B rank, and recently an A rank. He is said to be one of the strongest leaf genin here. You could hear a gasp and a pin drop from the room. Everyone was now staring at Naruto. He looked around and gulped. Then out of nowhere, some sound ninja attacked Kabuto. He dodged and everyone stared in amazement at his speed. Then, the sound ninja who had attacked laughed, and Kabuto threw up. "Call us a minor village, will you? Run that by us again." One in bandages yelled out. There stood 3 ninja. The bandaged one, another hotshot-looking one, and a female nin. Naruto smirked and yelled out. "Try that again and we will beat your ass." Everyone else sweats dropped and the female sound nin tilted her head at this kid's bravery. It was at this time the proctor, a man with a bandana around his head and a scar on his face, came in and yelled for everyone to get seated. The first test was to begin. With a grumble, the sound nin walked away, muttering to Naruto how the next time they saw him in battle, they would kill him. With a few sand ninja. "Maki, there was a problem with our invasion plans." A man spoke to the Jonin. "What's that, Baki?" She said, not really caring. She was writing on some scrolls, getting ready for something she didn't want to do. She was not happy with this invasion. It was a stupid idea, and loyalty mattered to her. Well, suffice it to say, your old teammate Gorimu never died. He has been in hiding, and with Orochimaru. He is now going to be helping in the invasion. When the time comes, he will be the one to set off the tailed beast inside Gaara. As he spoke, he heard the crash and looked over to see her shaking. "You better tell that bastard not to even come near me, or I may just kill him before the leaf can," Maki whispered, a tear falling down her cheek. "Well, nevertheless, we plan on using him. I will be assisting him." She nodded and stood up to go into the other room. She shook as she screamed inside her head. "Back to our little genin. Quiet down, you worthless bastards." The man yelled at everyone. He looked around and spit to his left. He was one of the special jounin in the IT department of the village. "I will be your first proctor. The Chunin will hand out these exams, and you have only 3 strikes for getting caught cheating. After that, your entire team gets the boot." Everyone looked at him in confusion. He didn't even give them his name. But, they all nodded and filed into their seats. When Naruto was handed his paper, he looked at it and then frowned. These weren't questions a normal genin would know. He growled and heard a chuckle next to him. He looked and saw Temari to his left. And to his right was Hinata. He instantly blushed. None of this would help him, however, and even though he was becoming far more intelligent, he had yet to acquire this knowledge. He was sweating bullets when he heard the voice from within. "Kit, your little blonde friend is trying to get access to your brain. I think she wants to help." He nodded and instantly felt Ino enter his mind. He heard the giggle as she said hello and took control of his hands. Temari on the other hand was watching him write super fast, filling out the problems. When he finally slowed down, she looked at him and then the paper again, taking down the answers. The rest of the testing time was uneventful. He slept for most of it until the proctor yelled for everyone to put their pencils down. When he raised his head, he saw that a few people had apparently been disqualified. He looked around to see that all of his graduating class was still in the room. He smiled at that. The proctor spoke up. "So, my name is Ibiki. I didn't say it before because I didn't want to truly scare anyone. Now that you know my name, you may have heard of me. If so, know this. I don't joke. There is a final question for the test. But first, if you wish to leave, do so now. If you leave, you will have another chance at the Chunin exams. However, if you choose to stay, and fail this one question, then you are to stay a genin forever." He laughed as he saw the faces of some of the genin. "You can't do that. yelled Temari. I can do whatever the fuck I want, little girl. I am the proctor. So what will it be, he said, looking around. Hands were shooting up left and right. He chuckled until a hand slammed down on a table. I will not give up. I will be Hokage one day, even if it means willing myself there as a genin. Believe it. Are you sure, kid? This is your last chance. Ibiki warned. Naruto nodded and stood his ground. Everyone else who had their own hand up lowered it, their own resolve hardening. Well, then kids, you pass. Ibiki stated, kind of proud at the number of teams left. Enko is going to be pissed. What? Everyone exclaimed. I asked this question for a reason, you fools. There will come a time when you will have a choice. A mission that you know nothing about. You have found your info to be wrong, or to have changed. Now do you continue with the mission even though you could die? Your team could die. Yes, you do. That is the way of the ninja. We do not back down. So, congrats. Because of the blonde kid you all passed. He smirked as everyone looked dumbstruck. It was then a crash was heard and a figure came flying through the window. A banner was hung up by flying kunai as a woman in a mesh top and a trench coat stood up and grinned. The banner said party time and was written in blood. The woman shouted. I am Enko, your sexy proctor for the second exam. Welcome to the end. She paused and looked around before yelling again. Ibiki, why are there so many? Your student, Naruto. He kind of acted brave and shit and they suddenly had some fortitude. He shook his head. You are early, by the way. She is Naruto-like. Sakura thought to herself. Well, I'll cut them in half. I mean, their numbers in half. Don't worry. Teams, meet me at Training Ground 44. Also known as the Forest of Death. There, you will take the second portion. Sensei, what was that? Naruto shouted. Too much. She tilted her head. No, I loved it. He grinned and ran up to her looking at the banner. It should have had a bit more bang though. I know. But, Ibiki gets jumpy and I didn't want to be stabbed. Everyone in the room's sweat dropped as the two left together laughing. Sakura and Sasuke left to catch up. That's all for What If Naruto Was Trained by a Powerful Sensei Part 3. If you like this series, don't forget to like and subscribe and press the notification bell. It helps me upload more What If videos.